Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. So before we start, a couple things. One, my sleep schedule reminds me lately of when I'd have summer break in high school and I would try and stay up all night and play games and do all that and just like be irresponsible during the day. So the last couple days have been like that. I actually came off a 24-hour. I was just having fun playing so many different games and stuff like that. But I just went to bed for like 10 hours and I'm feeling pretty good right now. So time to reset it for the new week. Let's get it started. And second to that, I have a question. So I've never played any MMO games before. A lot of people are recommending to play Lost Ark. I downloaded it. I haven't opened it yet. If you guys have played it, let me know what you think in the comments below, because I want to make sure I'm not wasting my time. I want to see if there's something on the side that I can get into that I can just play here and there, and it doesn't require a huge commitment. So I'd be more of a casual player if I was to play that game. Now, let's get into the deck here. This is something I started yesterday, and I put out like a video that was like an hour and a half talking about the deck from start to draft 2, and I made some changes between games, and I showed the games that I played and whatnot there. It wasn't one of my more popular videos, but if you guys are curious to see my deck building process, definitely go check that one out, because it starts from literally an empty deck. So I came up with a final version after playing more games. This is what stuck, and this is what I was really comfortable playing, and we went on a tear. So 6 for 7 or something like that out of the games that I played. The game that I lost was actually against one of my teammates, and I don't even feel bad losing to him. He's one of the best players in the world, in my opinion, Bart933. So I'm going to show you guys that game in the end as well. I'm surprised that I came so close, kind of. So anyways, let's get into the deck list here. We have Professor, so put a bounty on an enemy unit and damage it by 4. Tribute 3, ignore a target's armor. So really good way to start funneling back coins. It's a good way to abuse the coin if we're going second in round 1. We have, of course, the ability to get through armor on, like, let's say like a ship or something like that, so it makes removal a little bit more accessible. This as well, with the reinforced ballistas and the siege matchup, could be quite beneficial, so that's why we have it there. Now, King of Beggars, fee 1, boost self by 1. Whenever you play a tribute, remove a counter for each coin paid. For each removed counter, gain 1 coin back. When the counter reaches 0, summon self from the deck to a random allied row with a counter of 12. So we're going to be taking tributes throughout the game, potentially off Professor. We have Savola, Marils, and the Salamander Mages for our tribute cards. So we're going to be pulling into enough tributes to summon King of Beggars from deck. I would be really surprised if we didn't pull it off. Okay, so this is kind of what we have here. It makes taking those tributes a little bit more awkward, or less awkward rather, because we get the coin back and we don't have infinite amount of coin generation sources, right? We've got a couple specials here. We've got Tax Collector, stuff like that, Siggy, but we'd sometimes like some more. So King of Beggars helps with that. Now Siggy, I built the deck a little bit around Siggy because I think there's a benefit to doing this. It has Intimidate, so whenever we play one of the Fist Techs, we're going to be getting a boost on this card by 1, which is kind of nice, but it's not the reason why it's in here. For every unique gang category in your starting deck, increase Siggy's initial profit by 1. So it starts at 4. We have 5 different categories. We're going to be profiting 9. 9 gets out the Flying Redanian immediately on turn end, assuming we don't spend any coins. But that's the maximum we can hold in our bank as well, so that's why we wanted to make it that way. At first, I tried Ludo just to get the tag, but Ludo wasn't cutting it because Ludo had an awkward interaction with King of Beggars in off the books, so I had to switch it out, which is why the Bloody Good Friends came in here. It's also nice to have a little bit more variety with the spenders in case we need it as well, so the fee to give bleeding is really beneficial here, just so that we don't over profit in certain situations. And it's a tall base body, so it's harder to remove this card than it is like the Freak Show or something like that, so it's kind of why we have the Good Friends in here. Now Heatwave I think is absolutely necessary in the meta right now. There's a lot of scenario play going around, there's a lot of greed going around. The self-wound archetype, super greedy. Nilfgaard's got Masquerade Ball coming back. There's a lot of different applications for it. Siege obviously is a thing, whether it's a tall unit from Amphibious or it's the scenario itself. There's something you probably want to get rid of in that matchup, so this is why I went the non-devotion route and grabbed Heatwave. Now Philippa just seemed better than Muzzle in this deck because we can spend coins equal to the enemy's power and seize it. what I was running into were a lot of the Pirates matchups. And I wanted to take the Crack on Crate. And I was also running into the Self Wound. And I wanted to be able to take the Melusine or take this, the Sigvald, right? So those were a couple things. Now, you can't do that with Muzzle because Muzzle's 6 capped. So we'd have to damage something down. Whereas with this card here, a few leader clicks and whatnot, now we're up to like 8 points, right? Maybe we have coin in the bank. Maybe we could somehow fill it up. We get 9. So that's kind of why I wanted and did it that way. Let me know if you hear the cat meowing in the background. Now, we got Royal Decree here, play a unit from our deck, so this is going to help us find what we missed before I had Oneromancy, and I found too many provisions were dedicated to that one specific task of thinning in the top end, and if we didn't draw that card, then we're out of luck. So I figured, okay, with Royal Decree, with the Flying Redanian Thin, with the King of Beggars Thin, and with the newly added Sewer Raiders here, not newly to the game, but I added them to this deck, and that should just be enough, right? We can free up some space in here with what we didn't know what to play in around that range and put something that's going to help thin the deck out. Something proactive as well. If we go first, we have nothing to play. We can play Tiger's Eye Click, put Sewer Raiders out, assuming we don't have Tax Collectors. So that was kind of the idea with it. So it helped us be able to fit more cards, right? Putting Decree allows us to now put Philippa, for example, instead of the Onero. So that's why it's that way. Savola is going to be one of our big points swings. Not a lot of setup required. In this case, Profit 2, Tribute 9, spawn a Savolas Frightener in the row. It's actually going to be Tribute 8 because our leader reduces the tribute amounts by 1. And we're going to be getting this card here. So the 12 plus the 6, good swing of points for the 8 coin. It's not bad at all, right? Now, Maril's I like better than Graydon. I like playing this card because it doesn't require that certain condition, just the coin that we have. Damage an enemy unit by 4, tribute 4, destroy it instead. So we got 8-point floor, unlimited point ceiling. With this card, we just get rid of a unit, their tallest unit, their most effective unit, whatever the case may be. Talked about Redanian just thinning. Freak Show is going to be one of my favorite spenders for Syndicate. I like to put them in pretty well every deck that I make with Syndicate. There's always a way you can fit Freak Show in there. So Profit 2, Feed 2, damage an enemy unit by 2. That's basically it. So you take out their 4-point engines, take out their 6-point engines. It works ridiculously in those situations. But usually gets answered after the first turn, so make sure you get the damage done so that you don't have to worry about keeping Horse in on the board. That's pretty much it. You're always going to be trading. Now, I was messing around with Peller for a bit. I think Kurt just makes the cut. So deploy, place a bounty on an enemy unit on melee, right? Or we could put it on a ranged and purify unit. So it really helps us funnel back coin, right? We can basically bounty kill, assuming, let's say King of Beggars is already on the playing field. We play Marilis off the bounty card. Well, now we've got the coins back, right? Just taking a sip of my drink before I cough. But that's pretty much it. So there's that. We take the bounty, we go and we finish the kill here, and then we get the coins back, or we purify something. So I like the flexibility, I like the base power. It didn't feel bad holding this card into my hand going into round 3. Pallor felt kind of bad, because if you don't have a purify in round 3 for Pallor and you have Pallor in hand round 3, well then all of a sudden you just have Pallor in hand round 3 and it's playing for 4 points. So that's kind of like the theory behind it. It just wasn't like Pallor just felt a little underwhelming here. Okay, I talked about this here. Salamander Mage is a really good card. This is perfect for like the Swarm or going wide control. Tribute 4, in this case Tribute 3. Damage 3 adjacent enemy units by 2. Whenever you pay a Tribute ability, gain 1 coin. Adrenaline 5, gain 2 coins. So we've got 2 of these on the board. And, 1 second. Bear with me here. I think I'm allergic to this fruit I ate. Whenever I have like peaches and stuff, my throat gets itchy. So Salamander Mage, it's we get the coins back, right? So we're gonna be playing maybe this in around before we play some of our bigger tributes. So then we're getting a couple extra coins, which is kind of nice. You spend, you refill, you can allocate the coins that we got back into things like the Jackal or the Freak Show. So it really kind of helps funnel coins around and around. Now, I decided to keep a poison package in the deck for extra removal. I don't have to worry about going as tall with this. This could just be like engine, or this can just be round one win cons where they take like a thinning package and boost it or something like that. Good example would be like if you're playing against Nilfgaard and they take like a Dead Man's Tongue and boost like a token up to 11 points, 12 points. We could just poison that out and save some of the more important removal for later, right? With the Morels and the Heatwave. So that was kind of why I went in with these here. A good way to get coin. And if we don't have a poison with the Fistech Trafficker, we could take it on ourselves and just get the coin that way. So it felt pretty good here, and it doesn't have to be for their best play. It could, like I said, we've got other options for that. So that's kind of why I have those. Tax Collector felt better than Beggars. Beggars felt like a little bit of a trap here because if we're over profiting, then we're not getting those coins. That's the big thing. We don't want to over profit in any situation. We want to have a really tight control over what we do with our bank. So the Tax Collector helps us do that. These often get answered so that other things can stick, which is great. So again, if they stay, then they're great. If they get answered, it's not the end of the world because we still have quick coin generation with things like the Fistech, the Traffickers for round 1. So that's pretty much it. Jackal is going to be the most effective spender that we have. So value these quite a bit. Don't just play these and boost them by 2. Try and get the Horde amount, right? Horde 7, boost out by 3 instead. So when we have full bank, that's Horde 9. So we click once. We can click again because we have Horde 7 at that point. Just maybe not click a third time. Let it replenish with maybe a Fistech or something like that. Then go click it again. You see what I'm talking about here? Every time you'd be missing 2 points otherwise. So unless it's the last turn of the game and you just have to spend down everything you have, I would try and always play Jackal in around getting those 3 boosts instead of the 2 boost. And Jackal always requires some kind of tall punish because these just get wild. I think there's one game today that this card gets like 30 plus points, 40 points almost. That's not uncommon, right? So definitely something we want to have here, and definitely something you're going to put a lot of coin into, especially if last save is guaranteed. This might be your last save play, believe it or not. So that's why we have it there. Now, I felt like with all the Echo cards going around, Nilfgaard Coup, we got mainly mainly the ones I'm worried about are Nilfgaard Coup, Oneromancies, and the Amphibious Assault. Like right now, those are the big 3. Obviously, units could also be a thing, right? You're playing into Self-Wound, they have the Sigvald and the Melusine or whatever the case. You're playing into Syndicate, they have the Flying Redanians. So there's a lot of options where Squirrel's nice. And there's a lot of options where you want to get rid of 2 threats, and let's say you want to take one and you want to get rid of one this way. That's good. Or we banish one with the Heatwave, we banish one with the Squirrel. You see what I mean? You can't banish the Echo card with the Heatwave, so you have to do it with the Squirrel. So just good options for getting rid of something forever, because Morels gets rid of it, but not forever, right? And that's pretty much the deck here. I'm really happy with the outcome that I have today. This is probably going to be what I'm going to be rocking when I play off the books for the rest of the season. It feels really comfortable. I'm very confident playing it, and that's really kind of what's important. Now, if you guys found this useful, like I said, with the first video, starting the deck, this video, finishing the deck, then let me know. And if you guys are new to the channel or you're not subscribed to the channel, maybe it's time to consider subscribing to the channel. I know about 70% of you guys who watch the videos are not subscribed, so something to consider as well. We're pushing for 6K right now. And let's get into the games, guys. I got 7 for you. Alright, so and for the first game here, we've got Nilfgaard Imprisonment. And I'm already expecting it to be like a status Nilfgaard, maybe Masquerade Ball. You see the poison stratagem out there, so you have to know. The Squirrel might be beneficial here. I'm thinking that they have a coup. We've got 2 poisons here. We've got a Tribute here, a Spender here. It's not all bad. I have a hand that we can play quite thoroughly. I think we just keep it. So we either take Professor or we take Philippa. And I think Professor's probably the best way because it helps funnel the coin and get things started. I don't really want to play Tax Collector or anything first because it just gets locked or poisoned out in the same turn. Then the other card boosts to 6 and it's kind of out of our reach for removal.
I bring death, quite literally.
No, dwarves do not qualify for childcare tax relief.
A lot of factions are getting these impressive thinning packages, right? You have Northern Realms with the Siege Masters, you have Nilfgaard with the Blight Makers. I wonder if Syndicate would ever get something like that besides Cobb, you know what I mean? Like in the Bronze End, because we do lack some tempo off the Bronze End sometimes. I find it gets nastier as our round plays on, So I could take Mage. That's not a bad idea. Not a lot else we'd want to play, right? Don't really care to banish that from grave just yet. We take the Mage on the 3 without the armor.
Has no fear of fire.
We get the coin back and we're doing alright. Okay, so they want to top deck into their best cards, and I believe if they get their best cards, then they could push for a 2-0 if we don't get a better hand. So now we can start taking some poisons on some taller units here and see where it takes us. They opt for the poison as well. That's alright. Single turn poison is kind of nice. It reminds me of Salamander Hideout, but our poison was bigger and we don't have any other tributes, so I don't think it matters if the mage's stuck on the board for this case here. And I think we just try and play him down. I'd be willing to spend pretty well everything we have in hand if it means we win the round on even. Heatwave would be nice to save. We could probably just seize that, right? Problem is when we seize something, it gives it spying, so then they can coup it. However, at least they don't have the original copy, and at least we could do something with it. Maybe, you know? So they just coup it. We can give it doomed. Just in case they have any sort of play revolving around bringing that back, that's not a bad idea. And then just kill it. Probably. Or just take Squirrel. I guess that makes sense. I'm just thinking back to what I did there. Squirrel off the coup makes sense. Just get rid of it before it's too late. Playing Squirrel second is not really good. Still keeps us ahead here. They take a poison on the 4. Slim pickings, right? So full leader just for the points. We know we've got them trapped. When I start seeing stuff like that, I'm thinking, okay, it's because you have nothing else. So I don't even opt to spend the coin here. And I believe that this should provoke either all in or just a pass here, and they decide to go all in, which is fine. The card in the back row, second to the right, that one there, the Servant. I was theory crafting a Nilfgaard deck, and I was kind of thinking that it was a little bit of a trap, because oftentimes what I'm seeing is people cutting the fangs and putting that in replacement, because there's only so many things you could do in the Bronze End if you have a Calviet, and if you have the Blightmaker combo, and if you have the Van Morleham Hunters. So oftentimes fangs go, those come in, those play for 7 points, 8 points maybe. For a bronze card, it's not bad. However, I like the fangs better, I think. Then we just take Siggy here, and then we just go and get the boat out, and then we just go and get the raiders out and see what they come up with here. Okay. So we know they drew ball, which is why we're playing to begin with. Unless they took the mulligan on the ball, which I find when people they draw it, they don't want to tuck it back most of the time, right? Yeah, there's one aristocrat. If we would have passed there, they would have had two. I think we just could have potentially lost if we passed. And so I'm thinking they play ball. The ball's going to be 4 points. We'll just put bleeding in case it's something a bit bigger. This should be 2-0, unless they swapped it, like I said. And here comes the ball. So before you tell me that matchup's busted, there's always a way to win against something, right? Moving on to the next one. Here we got double cross Nilfgaard. Now, Assimilate's still nasty. Like, I think that Assimilate, with not even like a change to my deck from last season, like what I played last season is probably what I would play this season for Assimilate. So if you haven't checked that one out, I put it out about maybe 8-9 days ago. Go ahead and check that one out if you're looking to play Assimilate, because like I said, there weren't any balance changes to that archetype specifically, and it plays really well into all the stuff that's going around right now. I tried to play my Syndicate Crimes deck and make like a 2.0, and I kept queuing into Double Cross, and it was horrendous. They were copying Cleaver and Drill, and oh, it was nasty, man. So I gave that one a little bit of a break. Today's my last Syndicate deck for a couple days, like a little while at least. I was gonna do a Crimes one tomorrow and then switch factions, but I think you guys have seen enough Syndicate. You guys like when I play Nilfgaard. You guys like when I play monsters. You guys like when I play Scoia sometimes. I like when I play Scoia though. So I'm gonna stick to some other factions for a bit. But yeah, like I spent maybe 2 hours yesterday working on crafting a Nilfgaard ball deck, and tried to encompass like a lot of these new cards, and well, not new cards, but reworked cards. It was okay. Like, I think that it's one of those things like you need the answers to a couple items, and then it doesn't work. Kind of like the Self Wound archetype, because Philippe is really good. Like I said, when he sticks, but 6 removal, you saw how easy we dealt with that, and it sits right in the muzzle range with everybody playing muzzle right now. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing muzzles and heat waves in a deck. And Syndicate's still good, so all the Philippas, right? And then some people are putting in Defender to protect the Philip, and then now you have a Defender at 9 provisions. And then we're taking away from some of the plays that the deck used to have. Like, the ball decks at some point, like, people were running like a Brathens combo with that sort of thing, and that was playing for a lot of points. So, still trying to wrap my head around it. But for now, we try and bully. Just taking a look at the board state here. I think we got to play Freak Show in this round because we have the coin coming in. We just don't have the way to spend it. So it's kind of the idea, right? We got to start getting up to 9 if possible. There's some consideration to go take a self-poison and then, like, get the 3 plus a 2, don't spend here, you know what I mean? That's a thing. But there's also just that, you know? Take the damage because it feels pretty comfortable. So, I opt for this because it makes sense, but here, we'll just get rid of that before it engines out. But we're going to sit in like a weird spot where we have 8 coins and we need to get 9 coin. So we're going to have to intentionally over profit 1 in order to Angelim. Ouch. Not the card you want to see when you're playing, when you're losing on even and then, you know, trying to tempo. We're not playing Passiflora here. So Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, okay, if they pass here, or if we just play something small here, like the poison, then we can finally just get the boat out at the end of this turn. Because that's something we want to see, right? So we can poison out. Don't do it. Alright, I'm just delaying it a little bit longer, I guess. It doesn't really matter, because we're up quite a bit. But, yeah. So, here's the thing. On the pass on this turn, we still get boat, so I stand by that. That's fine. Thinking at this point, if we haven't used Squirrel, we don't really want to use Squirrel. Like, I kind of want to go into a pretty comfortable bleed here. Maybe we chuck down, like, Raiders, potentially even take that Savola. Like, my intentions may change depending on what they play. I really don't like the leader in this matchup. Like, I honestly, whenever I'm playing against Double Cross, I value that leader quite a bit. I think that leader is very important. You can go ahead and purify the Joachim. It's probably the best option we're going to get here, so they can't coup it and go tall again. And seeing Lydia come down is kind of nice here. It's tough to want to spend because, like, to spend expensive things when we're seeing these good cards come down and they're barely ahead. So it makes me just want to drop a Jackal. And just greed it even more, right? It. It's kind of smart. They had to nudge it down, then they finally got the coup off. I respect the effort. 37 to 20. So, gotta ask ourselves at this point, is it worth it? Because we're down about 20 points. So, if we continue to play, then it's really just to get out what they're playing, right? So it could be worth it. 6 on the counter a Cobb. Savola gets him back. Like, I really just want to see T-Nova leader. Like, we need to see some things like that, right? I was just going to mention here, I accidentally clicked twice. I didn't need to click twice. Just telling you guys I wasted a coin. That was a whoops, you know? And I'm dreading it too, trust me. At this point, I'm like, oh, damn it. Like, if it comes down to 2 points, I threw. There we go, here's the leader. They take Professor every time. Siggy's not going to do a whole lot for them. Now, I just didn't want them to roll Diplos, get coins, take my Savola off leader, so I'm glad that we got this out of the way here. We saved a bit of our leader so we can go into round 3 with a bit more stuff going on. Just gotta mute the phone here. Discord's bumping. Okay, Brathens comes down to an emissary. You know, I feel inclined to almost spend Siggy. Because if we go spend down, here I think we just take for what it's worth. Also, I messed up there. Click Cobb first. But I don't intend in this situation anyways to go all in because it's a losing battle. So again, I was just playing it with this sort of mind state of, alright, we're not going all the way anyways, so as long as we have enough points to win the game if they pass, that's all that matters. We got the yen out of the way, so I'm feeling pretty good. Last card's going to be Terra Nova for them, and they didn't really get any good spying units, so playing Jackal is not really going to be great for them from hand, so they're probably going to want to mulligan that back. Poison's like what we don't want to see here, but the Heat Wave is nice. Marilis is nice. I guess Ace Bender's good, right? So I guess that has a 6-point ceiling, right? You look at it this way, or 8-point ceiling because they got the 2 coin. So that could just be Marilis, because Marilis plays for, well, technically 14. Or sorry, 12. Yeah. And whatever the tallest thing happens to be after that, we can just Heat Wave. I think that's the way. There was maybe an option to Heat Wave that first to deny value from like looking back, that would have been nice because we could have taken Professor there. I'm feeling pretty good though. Like I think we're all right. They got 6 coins, so they removed probably the bloody, which is why I'm deciding to go and use, because I figured, all right, let's make it a little bit less attractive for them to remove. You see what I mean? Play it safe here. They got 6 points. We've got more. That's all that matters. We just take out whatever we feel like taking out. Maybe the freak show. There you go. So regardless, we got it done. Moving on to the next one. Here we got Precision Strike by Scoia'tael. And when I see Lamp, I think no unit or low unit right away. So we got to pay attention to that and for that. Double Jackals and double Raiders is kind of gross. That's a bit better. This would be a perfect application for Professor. I believe I just went and took Philippa here instead. Because you're not running Pyrotex unless you're running low unit most of the time, I'm thinking. So we'll go ahead and take this away. Abuse the coin, because a lot of their round 1 play might be kind of slow. Yeah, you're thinking what I'm thinking, right? Click, banish, smooth. It would be nice to get some coins out is kind of what I'm thinking here. So I decided to go, all right, let's fill up the bank here, get the boat out, because we need the tempo. Because if they go Simlast and then just crank leader, that's like 30 points, right? That's kind of annoying. I guess it's fair. We get rid of their Maddox, so... Now, the mage is going to play very well into leader thin. Keep that in mind. Oniro into a Maxi. I'm thinking that they decided, alright, they're probably not going to win the round. Wouldn't be a bad time to warm up a Jackal, just so that we don't over-profit if we go into Mage. We have a spender on the board first. That's kind of gross. So I think we should have clicked twice. Thinking about it right now, because now we could potentially lose coin if we play mage. I wanted to take it in case they were running like orbs and they were splitting up damage. That's why I went and took it here. Otherwise, there would have been the line to take the bloody good, because then we could use the couple coins first and not have to worry too much about it. That's kind of the idea, right? You take a muzzle. Kart's not really going to play very well here. Like, we can give something a bounty, but I don't think we're ever killing it because we have full bank. I'm just playing this card to stay ahead. Like, it's not optimal, but pushing them and getting out their leader and all these things for them is not optimal, so... And obviously them taking cards like this just for the points isn't optimal either, you know? They would rather remove an engine. So I'm thinking Maril's goes down because we have a 7 there. Okay, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking that now. I'm not thinking that before. I guess the idea was saving it for the gourd. Yeah, because heat waves were wherever it is, and poison's not really reliable for a gourd last say. Okay. And a lot of these lower unit decks do run like Scorch and heat waves and curse corruptions and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's not all bad. Mulligan one, get the other. So a couple things. We either go for a short round 3, or we pass there and we get double last say. I think we want the short round because we're playing into like control, right? So it'd be a long round of us just playing cards that have deployabilities of not doing anything. So I'd rather just keep it to 3 cards. Which is why I don't even take. I just play the card. If we can get something like Sabertooth out of the way, that could be good. So this combo is like a little bricked, which is kind of nice. Maybe we take free show and spend here. I don't think it'll do us much good in round 3. There he is, and we don't have anything we can target, but I'm really happy to see these couple cards come out of the deck. So now hopefully most of what we see in round 3 are things we can interact with, and hopefully what we see in round 3 is them pull into mainly special cards and not be able to play them because they go first. So that's pretty much it. So I want to have units. Don't want to pull the Cobb there, but I just really don't want that. That's better. Heat Wave's good. So they offer a discard here. I think it was it the muzzle? I'm pretty sure it was the muzzle they discarded. So I'm thinking Maril's is more important. Or sorry, Professor's... Yeah, Maril's is more important than Professor. because the Tribute 5's easy to take.
Please for mercy.
It's probably going to be a special Nilfgaard. I was not expecting that though. It's funny because it actually would have been more points the other way around. And so I'm taking Tribute here because I want to get out the King of Beggars. That's basically it. And that'll just be enough. They know Heat Wave or something's coming. Now moving on to the next one, we have Overwhelming Hunger by Monsters. This is game number 4. Got a few more to go. I don't love the poisons in this matchup because they can consume to get around them, then eventually we run out of them, which ultimately would push us more towards like a Heat Wave or Muriels, but still, it's just a lot of setup for something that might not happen. I think Squirrel has some good value here, whether it's some sort of Death Wish unit, like there's a lot of things going around. Whenever I see Overwhelming Hunger, I'm thinking, okay, it's one of those meta breaker decks that have 3 of something, right? So Squirrel is necessary, Heat Wave's necessary, access to Kurt's necessary, because I'm thinking, okay, Defender, this, that. That's kind of like the mindset. Depending on how tall they go with Slizzard, that could be like a really good trade for poison. I don't think Slizzard is like the way for consumes. I think I prefer Barghest because you put down the Death Wish unit first, they don't want to touch it. Then you put down this card which consumes it. Then, you know, with Dominance you can consume again, but it's monsters, so they shouldn't have as much of a problem getting the Dominance. Whereas Slizzard, you put down for 5 points, someone takes a Rebuke or a Boiling Oil. You put down your second Slizzard for 5 points, they do it again. And then, that's your consume, right? That's your bronze consumes, because you don't want to put a whole lot in that range. So I take the self-poison here, because I want to get the maximum amount of coins possible before it's too late. Because if this dies on turn start, we play Fist Tech, we get up to 9. That's kind of the idea. And then if we need to get another poison, we can get it from deck. Just FYI. So they might roll this here, right? Good. It's getting kind of expensive for us to be able to... Damn. Do I want to take it back, though? We could take it back. It's a matter of, like, if it really will make a difference. It might make a difference. I'm just thinking, Roach, Knickers, we've got Maruna, like, they've made a few commitments. So, can we make one? If I take back the boat, then we have to be able to win the round. And it's 32-0. Now, we have a poison off the Slizzard. And we've got the Jackal. And we've got the Philippa play herself. So, it's possible to go ahead and do this down to 4. And I'm just thinking, alright, so in this event, maybe they wouldn't... Like, if we drive past round 2, maybe they don't have enough time to set up their meta breaker combo. Because I'm not used to people playing just regular Overwhelming Hunger these days. But yeah, I think if they play here, we definitely pass. Playing any more would be kind of greedy, right? It's kind of annoying. So... we take a pass here. If they pass round 2, we got like a Squirrel for the Succubus, because now I know they're running Succubus. Now I know it's just like a classic Death Wish or something like that with a bit more tempo from thinning, right? It's like a hyper thin Death Wish or something. Cool. Seeing this makes me want to play Death Wish. There weren't many balance changes, but I have ideas still. Because the last time I played Death Wish was when Weavis Incantation was accidentally 12 provision instead of 10. And they fixed that since, like 3 days after I put out that guide. And muzzle wasn't a thing back then, I'm telling you. Muzzle could be a thing, because I don't play Death Wish Devotion anyways. Imagine, like, double Maruna Muzzle, Heatwave, Death Wish. Just yank all their siege engines and Heatwave their scenario, and... You know, I might have to brew this week. I might have to do that. Something like this. Okay, so they're playing that from hand, and they already have one in the graveyard because they played it from hand round 1. So I'm going to take some time to go ahead and do something like this, because I'm thinking, alright, we can still just play to 7 or whatever. Like, we have time, we have space. If they try and continue to play here, then we try and catch them. Dole du Lac.
Relax.
That would have been a pretty nice seize, though. Instead of having our boat back, I would have liked to take one of those. This keeps us ahead. I don't think that they're going to really crank it all the way. And then they go and they do that. But this location for them is actually putting one of the top... Well, the top power unit to the top of their deck, I believe. So it makes sense that they'd want to click that before going into the round, if they're looking to improve the draws. If we take that, well, boat doesn't come back. Or does boat come back in this match? I'm losing track of games. Yes, it does. We took it back, that's right. I was getting this one mixed up with the Precision Strike one where they used the bomb. And so we defend card effectively, and I think that's going to be important if we're going to win the game, because oftentimes when I'm playing against this deck here, like Overwhelming Hunger, I'm not always looking to Heatwave the scenario, I'm looking to Heatwave the product from the scenario. So we have that option available, we have the Marios available, we can mulligan back Cobb so we don't brick it. We've got Savola hiding there somewhere. We've got Royal Decree. That's like a pretty good hand.
He'll show file within 7 years.
Big yawn. Yeah, I have some like errands to do today. I have some important stuff to do besides content, and I had to fix the sleep schedule. So, you know, I say good morning, but it's freaking like 2 in the morning right now. But now I could make sure I don't miss what I have to do at like between 8 a.m. 10 a.m. type deal. Like, so yeah. Alright, so they go and they Heatwave Horson, which is great. So I'm going to go and Heatwave their scenario because they're not proccing it. Like, if they would have procced it again, then maybe, you know, something to consider. Now, we know that they're probably going to make copies of that egg. I also know it's a bit of an overprofit. However, I want to prevent them from consuming it right away. So this might make them hesitate a little bit, which gives us time to then put out a spender like the Jackal. Having seen Heatwave already, now we don't have to worry about the Jackal because we know it'll probably stick unless they're running like Uridin and Heatwave and they've got all the answers, right? Then we just lose, but there we click it. Click it twice because no chances, you know? I want to play around like a Parasite. And I also don't want to go crazy with leader charges because I'm relying on them consuming this. Okay. I don't want them proccing that and then playing K-Ran. So it seems like a little bit counterproductive here to kill something at 11 and then basically they still get 5 back. But I feel like if I don't, they take an Abaya and then it just gets ugly, right? So kind of considering taking the Morels here, and this is why. And we'll see if it pays off. Obviously not great. Obviously it's a pretty close match, but we do have Siggy and we do have Savola left. We still have some coins, so I would say it looks kind of favorable for us here, right? Like kind of, but close. It's crazy because the score that you see right now is nothing compared to what it's going to be.
Relax.
Take that in. They were at like 20 odd points. We're at 20 odd points. Just look out for the final score. I'm sure it's going to be at least double that. Maybe even triple that, right? It's a good tribute here. Deciding if we want to click, but I don't think we do because we get the boat up this turn because we have to let it happen at some point. So there we go. That makes a difference. And then this is a little underwhelming. They'll take the consumes with the, with the crones here. The Brewis.
I'm just a sexy little
Is it Brewis or Brunus? Savola comes down. You see what I mean? We're looking all right. No need to go crazy on the spending just yet. And then we just absolutely crank the Jackal at the end of the turn. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Pay attention to the score right now and what the score is going to be after this turn. You can only imagine what... You know what I should have done, though? I should have anticipated K-Ran. I really should have. A bit sooner. And we should have spent a couple times on the... once at least on it. Because we potentially lost like 3 coin. Or, sorry, 2 coin, because we overprofited 2 because the consume that they had, because the base power was 3. But either way, it wasn't enough to really make a difference. We're talking about how we're at 20 odd points, now we're at like 84. So quite a wild round. Gets up to like 37 points there on the Sea Jackal. Moving on to the next one here, we got game number 5. We've got Arachas Swarm. Now, this is going to be more of the control style Arachas Swarm. The actual Swarm version is probably not even playable right now, just because Skellige with all the rain, Syndicate with all the really good damage distribution. You've got Siege, right? Bombardments would just tear your deck apart. If you guys haven't seen it, again, since there were no balance changes to monsters with this new patch, this deck could still be playable in 10.2. I put out a Glusty Warp deck. I think it's pretty strong. I think it's greatly optimized, and I was really proud of that one there. It was top page turning, playgwent.com, so you guys must have liked it as well. Now, you can see it 2 places. I put it on my channel. Look for Glusty in a thumbnail. It was maybe about a week and a half ago. There's also one called my 10.1 top 5. You can check that out because I featured the deck in there. In the one that I featured in the 10.1 top 5 is going to have one change in the Bronzens. I put the Elder Bears instead of the Kikimor Workers because of the vulnerability of the Kikimor Workers. So if you're looking for that updated list, it's in that video. And, jeez, this is not exactly like mine, but again, still kind of annoying because Arachas Swarm has tempo, like a lot of tempo, and it's inexpensive tempo, right? They play a couple organic cards that play for tons of points. So I'm seeing all the things come out here. We've got the Weavis, we've got the Toad Prince, we've got the Oniro, and like here's a lock, right? So I'm thinking that we're probably gonna lose on even. So we have no choice but to maybe take a poison on something and Get the boat out, finish the poison with the trafficker. I don't know how tall they're going to go and let us have access to, so we could take a poison here, and then if we get a chance later on, we have a heat wave, we've got a Morils, right? Now, I'm surprised for pushing so hard. I think it would be necessary to keep pushing. You know what I mean? If you're going to go and take Weavis, Nero, take a lock, all this, right? Toad Prince, and you kind of want to win the round. So I was thinking, alright, like, I think that gives me a bit of an advantage here, because I didn't spend anything in round 1, right? We took Jackal, we took small stuff. I hold on to Cobb here because I'm going to pass and mulligan him back. There goes the boat. I always got to check because sometimes they don't pick the same target card that you think they're going to pick. So if you assume, then it doesn't really help because they might have been like, oh, that tax collector is really bad, you know, and took care of that instead, which isn't really good. So if we're not going to be using Squirrel by now, we probably don't want to use Squirrel by now. I'm just tucking away Cobb so we don't forget about him. Now, Squirrel's kind of annoying here, but also the Fist Tech, but there we go. We roll the Trafficker, which is kind of nice. So we miss lots of golds. Lots of golds we missed. It's funny because we took Thins early too. Most of the time we've been luckier than this. So now we are at a little bit of a handicap going into the last round. We have to get Siggy, which is kind of important. The bounty, well, Siggy, Professor are like the main two ones that I'd like to have. I don't really know how much value here we'd get from the Kurt. But maybe, who knows, right? So what I'm trying to do is get out all the removal before I start playing things like the Jackal and the Freak Show because, you know, or at least some of it. There's consideration to play Jackal here or Freak Show just to float them because, like, we don't have a lot of coin circulation. We have barely enough to take tributes so far. So this is why we're not going to go click here because we don't want to get in trouble. That's kind of gross. So I guess we just let that go. I opt to take the mage here just because we got to start working on the tributes for the cop so we can get a spender out there so it doesn't feel awkward. We kind of create a bit of glusty food in this case with the ones, but since we have last say, it doesn't really matter. Cataclysm and this is nuts. So basically just don't play units for 3 turns is kind of the idea, which I wasn't really planning for, but we could theoretically just heat wave the Frightener, you know? If we have to, like that's a special. We could take a Fist Tech as well. We could take, I think I take Savola here because it's like the only proactive thing we can play.
I want to see corpses. Corpses everywhere.
And we just opt to keep him alive. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You can get the 2 clicks because if they're going to go Tall Punish here, they might actually go for the 12.
Best looking storm I've charmed up in a long while.
See, What I don't think is very good about this is that there's a lot of effort gone into putting statuses on both rows. However, we can just play around one of those entirely if we want. We only have one card that's row locked, so it doesn't really help. You know what I mean? I think that poison here is safe to take. Just do all that. You see what I mean? Heat Wave comes down on that. I think it was a little bit short term, but we do have another spender even if they took out the Jackal, so it's kind of what I wanted to plan for. Now the counter on the Frighteners 1. So if they don't remove it themselves, then I might go in and I might remove that with a Heat Wave if there's nothing better to play. Because it's either that or we fill up a token. Kind of want to plan for a bit better fill up than that. I think this is why they should have Heat Waved the Jackal. That's a little bit anti-synergistic though. With like the bleeding, the Cataclysm, then a Yrden, you could potentially be healing all the damage you've done. So just something to consider there. I think we take care of just what we can take care of. I thought about just going and cranking out all the ones, but I don't think it really matters because they consume them with Glusty. We get them back with the Marils, like on the kill, and then we just spend on Jackal. So, kind of have to, we're forced here. We have to take Philippa. I don't want to, of course, but it's like a negative point, Philippa, almost. I'm thinking about binning it, actually, but it's still better that we keep it, because we get it back, technically, right? We kill the Gusty Warp, we keep our 3 points. I think we still beat a Talisman. But it is Glusty. Pretty cozy. Click that twice. Done. And moving on to the next one here, we've got another Nilfgaard Imprisonment. We gotta tuck away the boat, we gotta tuck away Cobb, that's it. Okay, so it's not a bad round to actually go pretty deep in. They play Blights from hand, first turn. So that tells me, okay, not a lot of proactivity going on right now. They lose the 2 points from that. This might be alright, we just play this here. If they remove it, then maybe we just take Siggy for the less 1 coin. Or maybe we put Bloody first with the 1 bleeding and then we play Siggy, so we're not wasting. I don't think it matters what we put bleeding on. So then it's Siggy, Boat, and then Raiders, Jackal, Mages, Poison. Something like that, right? Obviously, our intentions might change depending on what they play, but there's usually a way in like how you like to approach a round. I like to play Siggy round 1 when on red coin. I like to hold on to Siggy if I'm on blue coin, because we shouldn't have an issue getting coins in round 1 if we go first. We have our stratagem for that. So 2 clicks does not get us ahead. We're down to 24 at the end of the turn because the bleeding, but it's fine. We got to be patient here. Because now we're going to start getting that value we're looking for. They've got widespread units. We take the mages. We get awesome paybacks here. And so they pass on that. So in this event, we either play it no tribute, or we just take like a fist tech or something, which is fine, you know, because the intimidate plus the 1 click. Remember, Siggy does have that second ability, so there we go. Mages are really good, so maybe we hold on to them, kind of thing. And a lot of the thinning tempos out of the way with the double Blightmaker set, so we can decide based on what we pull if we're looking to thin. And hand's pretty good. And we have a lot of coins. Like, well, 3's decent, you know? Because it's like 2-liter tribute Savola, right? The only thing I'm worried about is like a Vincent. But I want to see some of those good cards come out of the deck before we can get into round 3. Keep it a little bit shorter. There we go. Comes Bow. 21-point swing. All right. That was kind of slow. I'm thinking, all right, maybe we do pass on them here because passing might mean card advantage. Plus we get the max amount of coin carryover for round 3. It's kind of the idea. I remember this play now. Leave it to us. Of course they take the Joachim into the the Vincent, take out the Frightener, right? If I was trying to pull that off, I don't even think it would work that way. It's a good thing we passed. King of Beggars has to go back. Squirrel probably has to go back too. Let's have a look at the deck here. Deck check. We missed 1. So Morelos would be kind of nice. But on the bright side, they didn't get their Calviet play sorted out. So maybe they actually missed some of their important cards. And the fact that they took the Joachim in round 2 and didn't get to use Ku might mean that they didn't want to thin out the way they were looking to. Now, 5 cards in their deck's not really a lot. But it's enough to miss that Masquerade Ball, considering we have 6 and we missed Morelos. I think we just take that. We want to get some coin funnel here. 8's a good target. I don't love the fur cart, obviously giving everything we play spying as they play specials, but it should be alright. If I take Philippa here, Philippa on Cupbearer is kind of nice because then we deny that assimilate value. Something I'm thinking about. It's not a requirement yet, because that's all it is. There might be something better, like the Philip or whatever that we want to take before they go nuts. Do we ever just take a heat wave there? Masquerade Ball is one of the few scenarios that I like to heat wave as soon as I see. Masquerade Ball is pretty bad for that. Siege can be bad depending on your board state. But sometimes Passiflora is better left. And sometimes Geddeneth is better left, I find. And sometimes even Haunt is better left. Now, Feign Death is considered a decent heat wave, I think, because they don't usually go as tall, so the heat wave is probably the better heat wave in that matchup versus like a 6 or 7 point heat wave regardless. So we got 40-11. What's happening, guys? Let's just take that before it gets any taller. All right, I want you guys to guess who's gonna win the game. Man, I like games like this that feel impossible. That's nice little added engine value, right? We give the bounty, we get that extra boost on the Dame. I wasn't thinking about that at the time that I took it. So the play here is actually, I think, click leader, take tribute off the Philip, and then don't kick it. There, click, play. Watching it, I was getting kind of nervous. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, that's fine. Cobb can be clicked a couple times. It's just we're giving additional value to that leader charge, but if we don't, we're just losing the points anyways, right? Because they overprofit off the freak show, so that's fine. And somehow we actually just came back and made it happen, right? 2 coins there. They can put 2 bleeding. Done. That's 40. Puts us at 32 less whatever we play here. So we're pretty comfortable. We'll win by about 6 points or something like that. And if you guys are new to the game, this is a game that you want to watch. So I'm playing against one of my teammates here, Bart 993 on the ladder, and I keep getting it wrong. Is it 993 or 933? Anyways, we'll figure it out at the end. One of the best players to have played the game, in my opinion. Like, I watch him play, and like I've had coaching from him once, and what I learned from that experience was a lot. Like, he helped me get my first ever deck to 2500. So it was Kelly. I remember that. I have actually, if you want to dig into the archives, I have that training session that I did with Bart, like would have been over a year ago. The deck that'll be called Bart's Kelly. We had like a Discord kind of talk about it. But anyways, I never actually played against him. So this is it. And he comes out with mages, and I had no idea who it was at the time. So I gotta just treat this like any other game. And really pushing the coin. Like, there's a lot that we need to get out of the way here. We got to get this out of the way for starters. And I also want to get rid of the Vengeance, because that's pretty nasty. I opt to leave it right now because we have Maril's access, which is kind of the big thing. And I thought that I played aggressive. I really did. I thought that like I was super aggro in this game. But Letitia, Selkirk, Vengeance, like it's just like hammer after hammer. And we're starting to run out of this pace. And then they just go and take the other Vengeance. Like, so now we got to do something. And we don't even have our removal tool here. So we could Philippa that, because I can't remove it now with the Freak Show. So we have to start denying this value. That's kind of what I had in mind. And then we have a couple counters left on the Vengeance. If they take another winch on it, we can surprise them with the Morels. That's basically it. Now we have to think about Morelsing, taking Morels on the 9, because again, that's the goal, is to deny. It's an expensive round for like 2 liter charges for them, 2 liter charges for us. And this barely keeps us ahead too. But we have enough space maybe to take a Thin after this. They played Amphibious already. Okay, so spreading the points out. We just take, I think, one-click raiders. I really want to get out of this round, man. And I think they know that.
Who's that? Smell that?
The second duel killed me. I play non-devotion version. Actually, when I play... No, I'm pretty sure I play devotion mages, but I play non-devotion siege. Yeah, that's how it goes, usually. So he's running devotion siege mages as well. I want to see if I can replicate his list or ask him for it, because some of you guys are saying mages are just not cutting it this season, but after seeing this, I'm convinced that if you play them a certain way, they're pretty good. Now, I can't push. There's nothing left to do. We have nothing to spend coins. We have to pass here. It's over, and then they can just take it off something cheap here. But the full leader's out of the way, which is what I kind of like. And they don't really have the alumni set up just yet. I'm not thinking that they're going to push. They've already played Amphibious, but there might be like a mage we want to get rid of from the grave. But also just, I'm thinking that they're going to pass, which is why I kept Squirrel for a throw. And that feels bad, you know, because they go and they obviously play this, right? So I guess the idea is to just force it here to get the patience counters up. If I had a Jackal, we'd be very comfortable because they used the 2 duels and there was nothing left for that tall removal. So would have been a big difference. There's definitely maybe an option to go into to get that there. But I have to say, listen, you're not playing in this round. Take a pass now, please. And I decided to go out with this here. Get the spender on the cob, and at least if we get some coin off Siggy and stuff like that, we can start, you know, using it.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
This is quite nuts because I'd like to be able to save the Royal Decree for the Professor in round 3. I don't think it really matters what we get rid of. Maybe just one of the students. They wouldn't be bringing that one back anyways. It would be the one that's out right now.
Sorcery is a sword with no hilt.
Now tell everybody in school knows.
And really just taking this because I'm just trying to preserve as many good cards as we can. And so we get the pass here. I'm thinking, okay, we win, right? If we can pull like a Heatwave Professor, like how do we lose? It's kind of the idea in my head. Heatwave Professor and Jackal. And then we get this. That's tough. So now we have to actually go in for a Jackal off the Decree if we want to spend. And we need to spend. And the problem with poisons in this matchup is that it doesn't help us. I gotta go Decree first and get it because otherwise we waste 2 coins. But yeah, poisons don't really help us here because we poison it, it has the order, but then it uses the order. You see what I mean? So Professor would have been that much better because I could have just, boom, taken Professor here from hand on the on that mage and it just would have been dealt with, right? And what'll happen too is we'll poison something and they'll just boost the other thing and then the other thing becomes the target that we wish we poisoned, right?
We have each other's backs. That's more than most.
And so now it's just, there's too many of them to deal with. 3 is just too much. If there was like 2, then sure. but well, technically 4 engines out right now, plus whatever else they play. And I'm thinking Gerhardt's probably a thing as well. So I don't think we worry about Shani here. I think we have to worry about that. I'm getting used to saying it properly. Shani. There we go. Big boost. See what I mean? My priority changed. And now I can't even finish the poison because he went and he swapped it out. So at this point, I just know it's over, right? And it's unbelievable how much points you can pull out in such a short period of time. So I asked him if when I get back into streaming, if we can maybe get a session for you guys, a coaching session on Twitch. You guys can maybe learn something from that as well. And he agreed to that, just said hit him up when the time's right. So that's something that I intend on trying to get done. I think it'd be a good experience for everybody, really. I was thoroughly impressed with this game here. I go take a heat wave and he splits the points out so well as though he's seen this one before, right? But we came close. I'm within 10 points, so I'm feeling alright. We'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. It's 933.